Can I help you?
Is Daniel Carter here?
Who are you?
My name is Vivian Blake.
I don't know anyone by that name.
Daniel knows me. I came here because your husband needs to tell you the truth.
What truth?
The truth about
What happened?
ask him who I was before you became his wife.
Who is Vivian Blake? Daniel?
Where did you hear that name? She was someone from my past.
Someone from your past who comes to our home at midnight?
There are things I never told you.
How many things? Home. How many things, Daniel?
For 8 years, Elena believed she had the perfect marriage. She believed she knew the man she loved. But one stranger's return would uncover secrets buried for years. Was Vivian here to destroy their marriage? Was Daniel hiding a betrayal? Or was the truth more dangerous than anyone imagined? The following morning, Elena woke up feeling like she had entered a stranger's life. Everything around her looked the same. The expensive curtains, the beautiful paintings on the walls, the family photographs displayed around the apartment. But somehow, everything felt different. The man she had shared her life with for 8 years suddenly seemed like someone she had never truly known. Daniel had always been predictable. He was the kind of man who called her when he was running late. The kind of man who remembered small details about her. The kind of man who would wake up early on weekends just to prepare breakfast for her. But last night, when she asked him about Vivian Blake, she saw something she had never seen before. Fear. Not anger. Not confusion. Fear. And that frightened her more than anything. As Elena sat quietly drinking her morning coffee, her phone vibrated. A message appeared. Unknown number. If you really want to know the truth about your husband, meet me at 2 p.m. Come alone. Elena stared at the message. She knew exactly who sent it. Vivian. For several minutes, she considered deleting it. She considered trusting Daniel. After all, a marriage built over 8 years should not be destroyed because of one stranger. But something inside her refused to ignore it, because deep down, she knew one thing. Secrets only hurt more when they are discovered by accident. At 2 p.m., Elena arrived at a quiet cafe in the heart of the city. Unlike the busy restaurants Daniel usually took her to, this place was calm and private, almost like Vivian had chosen it because she did not want anyone watching them. Elena sat near the window. A few minutes later, Vivian entered. She looked different from the woman who stood outside her apartment. That night, she looked mysterious. Now she looked tired, like someone who had spent years carrying a heavy burden. She sat opposite Elena. For a moment, neither woman spoke. Finally, Elena broke the silence. Why did you come back? Vivian looked down at her hands. I know what you think of me. Elena remained quiet. You think I am the woman who came back to destroy your marriage. A small pause. But I am not. Elena looked directly at her. Then who are you? Vivian took a deep breath. I am the woman who was supposed to marry Daniel 8 years ago. The words landed heavily. Elena tried to remain calm. You loved him? Vivian nodded. Very much. How long? 6 years. Elena looked away. 6 years. Longer than some marriages, long enough to build dreams, long enough to create memories, long enough to make someone believe they had found their forever. Then why did he marry me? Vivian looked at her. Because he believed I betrayed him. Vivian looked through the cafe window at the busy city streets outside. For a moment, she seemed lost in the past. Then she turned back to Elena. 8 years ago, Daniel and I were different people. Elena listened carefully. Before the success, before the company, before this life you see now, Daniel and I were building our future together. She paused. He was still trying to establish himself. Things were not always easy for him, but I believed in him. Vivian smiled faintly. I saw something in him that other people didn't see. When things were difficult, I stayed. When people doubted him, I reminded him of who he was. Elena remained silent. She did not want to admit it, but Vivian did not sound like someone trying to steal another woman's husband. She sounded like someone remembering a life she lost. We had plans, Vivian continued. Not just dreams, real plans. We talked about marriage, about building a home, about the kind of family we wanted one day. Her voice became softer. I thought I knew how my story with Daniel would end. She looked down. Then one morning, everything changed. Elena leaned forward. What happened? Vivian took a deep breath. I woke up and realized Daniel had cut me out of his life. Elena frowned. What do you mean? Vivian reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. I found a message from him. She looked at the screen, even though she had memorized every word for 8 years. It said, her voice became emotional, I know the truth. I know what you did. Don't contact me again. Elena looked shocked. What truth? Vivian shook her head. That is what I kept asking. I called him immediately. He didn't answer. I called again and again. I went to his office, but he refused to see me. I sent messages. I begged him to tell me what I had done. Vivian swallowed, but Daniel had already made up his mind. Elena looked confused. So he never told you why he was angry? Never? Not even once? Vivian shook her head. Not once. A moment of silence passed. At first, I thought he just needed time. I thought he was hurt, and eventually we would talk. But days became weeks. Weeks became months. And slowly, I realized the man I loved had completely closed the door on me. Elena looked at her. Why didn't you try harder? Vivian looked at her sadly. I did. Her voice cracked slightly. I spent months trying to reach him, but every path to Daniel was blocked. Someone kept making sure we never had that conversation. Elena's eyes narrowed. Someone. Vivian nodded. Yes, because the worst part was not losing Daniel. She paused. The worst part was never knowing why I lost him. Vivian reached into her handbag and brought out an old envelope. She placed it on the table. I kept this for 8 years. Elena opened it. Inside was a printed message. Her eyes moved across the words. It was the same message Daniel claimed to have sent Vivian. But something was strange. Elena looked closer. The message was sent from Daniel's number, but the wording did not sound like him. Daniel always called Vivian by a special nickname. The message did not. Elena looked up. Someone sent this from his phone. Vivian nodded. Exactly. Are you saying someone used his phone? I am saying someone wanted us to believe Daniel sent it. Elena sat back. Her mind was racing. If Vivian was telling the truth, then someone had deliberately destroyed their relationship. But who? And why? That evening, Elena waited for Daniel. She sat quietly in the living room, but her mind was far away. Too many questions were running through her head. Who was telling the truth? Was Vivian the woman who lost the love of her life? Or was she the woman who had come back to destroy the marriage Elena had built? When Daniel finally arrived home, he immediately noticed something was different. The warmth that usually greeted him was gone. The silence in the room felt heavy. He placed his keys on the table. Elena. She looked at him. Sit down. Daniel stopped. There was something in her voice that told him this conversation could change everything. After a moment, he sat opposite her. You met Vivian. It was not a question. Elena looked surprised. How did you know? Daniel looked down. because deep down I knew this day would come. Why? He took a deep breath. Because Vivian was not just someone from my past. A pause. She was a huge part of my life. Elena listened. For the first time, Daniel was not trying to avoid the subject. He was opening a door he had kept locked for years. Before I met you, Vivian was the woman I thought I would spend the rest of my life with. His voice became softer. We went through everything together. The difficult years, the struggles, the moments when I had nothing but an idea and a dream. I was building my company from nothing, and she believed in me when nobody else did. Elena looked away briefly. It hurt hearing him talk about another woman with so much emotion, but she continued listening. Daniel continued. I was going to marry her. Elena looked back at him. What happened? Daniel became quiet. For several seconds, he said nothing. Then he spoke. I was planning to propose. The word surprised Elena. I had already bought the ring. Daniel looked toward the window. I remember that day clearly. I had everything planned. I booked a private dinner at a place she loved. I wanted it to be perfect. A small smile appeared on his face. I spent weeks preparing because I wanted that moment to be something she would never forget. But the smile disappeared. Then everything changed. Daniel looked down at his hands. The day before I was going to propose, I discovered something. Elena leaned forward. What? Daniel hesitated. Messages. What kind of messages? Messages between Vivian and another man. His voice became heavier. They were not innocent conversations. They looked like two people who were hiding something. Elena watched his face carefully. What else? I found pictures. Pictures of Vivian with him? Daniel nodded. Yes. And you are sure they were real? At that moment, Daniel looked conflicted. I wanted to believe they weren't. A pause. I wanted to believe Vivian could never do that to me. But everything I saw was telling me something different. Daniel continued. I remember sitting there for hours staring at those messages. I kept asking myself how I could have been so blind. The woman I trusted more than anyone. His voice cracked slightly. The woman I was preparing to make my wife. I thought she had been living a different life behind my back. Elena looked at him. So you confronted her? Daniel nodded. Yes. I called her immediately. I wanted an explanation. I wanted her to tell me that I was wrong. But when I asked her about it, he paused. She denied everything. Elena frowned. And you didn't believe her? Daniel looked away. I wanted to. But the evidence was already in front of me. Daniel stood up and walked toward the window. The hardest part was not being angry. It was feeling like I had lost the person I trusted the most. Elena watched him silently. What happened after that? Daniel swallowed. I waited for Vivian to fight for us. I thought she would explain everything. I thought she would prove that I was wrong. But she didn't. Elena looked confused. According to her, she tried to contact you. Daniel turned around. She did? The surprise on his face looked genuine. She told me she called you. She said she tried to see you. Daniel shook his head slowly. I never saw those messages. I never received those calls. Silence filled the room. For the first time, both of them realized something. Their two stories did not match. Someone had created a wall between them. Someone had made sure neither of them could reach the other. Daniel sat back down. After weeks of silence, I believed Vivian had made her choice. I thought she walked away because she didn't want to face what she had done. I thought losing me was easier for her than telling me the truth. Elena looked at him. And then? Daniel looked at her. Then I met you. A painful silence followed. You were kind to me when I was broken. You gave me a reason to believe love could exist again. I didn't marry you because I wanted to replace Vivian. I married you because I loved you. Elena looked down. But you never told me. Daniel lowered his eyes. I know. And that was wrong. I should have told you about my past. I should have told you about Vivian. But I was afraid. Afraid that if you knew everything, you would see me differently. Elena remained quiet. She finally understood something. Daniel was not hiding Vivian because he wanted her back. He was hiding Vivian because he was carrying a wound he never healed. But one question remained. If Daniel and Vivian were both telling the truth, who had manipulated them? Who had destroyed their relationship 8 years ago, and why? If you have made it this far into the story, then you already know that every secret has a hidden truth and every choice has a consequence. If you are enjoying this story and you want to hear more powerful stories filled with love, lessons, and unexpected twists, please take a moment to support this channel. Hit the subscribe button, like this video, and share it with your friends and family so they can enjoy this story too. Your support helps us continue bringing you more inspiring stories. Days passed. Elena tried to move forward, but doubts kept growing. One evening, Daniel received an urgent call and left his office documents behind. Elena was not looking for trouble. She was searching for insurance papers. But while looking through the files, she discovered something. A bank statement. Her heart stopped. Every month, money was transferred to Vivian Blake, large amounts, for years. Elena stared at the document. Her hands became cold. After everything Daniel said, after everything Vivian said, one thing was clear. Daniel was still connected to Vivian, and he had hidden it. When Daniel came home, Elena was waiting. She placed the documents on the table. What is this? Daniel looked at them. His expression changed. Elena? No. Her voice broke. I need you to answer one question. She pointed at the papers. Why have you been sending money to the woman you told me was part of your painful past? Daniel sat down. I can explain. Then explain. Daniel took a deep breath. I was helping her. Elena laughed bitterly. Helping your former fiancé secretly for 8 years? Daniel looked ashamed. I knew you would misunderstand. And you thought lying was better. Daniel had no answer. That silence hurt Elena more than any explanation. Because sometimes silence feels like a confession. While Elena and Daniel struggled to understand the truth about Vivian, someone else was quietly watching everything unfold. Someone who had been waiting for this moment for years. Across the city, inside a luxurious office overlooking the busy streets, Michael Stone sat alone. The lights in the room were dim. On his desk were documents, photographs, and files connected to Daniel's company. But Michael was not looking at business records. He was looking at photographs of Daniel, Elena, and Vivian. A small smile appeared on his face, because everything was happening exactly as he planned. For years, Michael had been Daniel's closest friend. He was the person Daniel trusted with his business, the person who knew his weaknesses, the person who knew his secrets, and that was exactly why Michael was dangerous. He knew Daniel's greatest fear, losing the people he loved. Michael picked up his phone and made a call. After a few seconds, someone answered. Is everything going according to plan? The voice asked. Michael looked out of the window. Yes. What about Danielle? Michael smiled. Daniel is already trapped. The person on the phone became quiet. Explain. Michael leaned back in his chair. Elena has discovered Vivian's name. She knows Daniel kept secrets from her. She knows he was still connected to Vivian. A pause. Right now, Elena believes Daniel betrayed her. The person on the phone asked, "But what if Elena starts asking more questions?" Michael smiled. "That is exactly what I want. Because every question she asks will lead her closer to Daniel, not to me." The person hesitated. "Are you sure Elena will believe Daniel is the one responsible?" Michael laughed softly. "Think about it. Daniel hid Vivian from his wife for 8 years. Daniel secretly supported Vivian financially. Daniel never told Elena the full truth about his past. All the evidence points toward Daniel." He paused. "People don't usually search for the person behind the betrayal. They search for the person who looks guilty." The person on the phone asked, "But what about Vivian? She could reveal the truth?" Michael's expression changed. "Vivian is emotional. She spent 8 years wanting answers from Daniel. Right now, she wants justice. She wants people to know she was not the person who destroyed their relationship." And while everyone is focused on Daniel and Vivian's past, Michael tapped his fingers on the desk. "They will never notice me." He looked at an old photograph of Daniel, a photograph from years ago when they were both starting their businesses. Michael stared at it. "You had everything, Daniel. The success, the respect, the perfect marriage. And everyone believed you deserved it." His expression became cold. "But they never saw the person who helped you build everything. They never saw me." The person on the phone asked, "So what happens next?" Michael smiled. "Next, Elena will find more evidence. Evidence that makes Daniel look even more guilty. And when their marriage finally breaks..." He looked at the company documents on his desk. "I will step in and take what should have been mine." But Michael had made one mistake. He believed he was the only person who knew how to manipulate the truth. He did not realize that the lies he created years ago were beginning to unravel. And soon, the people he planned to destroy would discover the person who had been hiding in plain sight all along. For days, Elena tried to believe Daniel. She wanted to believe the explanations he had given her. About Vivian, about the monthly payments, about the painful past he had hidden. But one question refused to leave her mind. Who created the evidence that destroyed everything? One afternoon, while Daniel attended a business meeting, Elena returned to his home office. This time, she wasn't looking for reasons to accuse him. She was looking for the truth. She carefully examined the old photographs, messages, and documents connected to Vivian. At first, everything looked genuine. Then something caught her attention. The dates didn't match. One photograph supposedly showed Vivian meeting another man. But according to Vivian, she had already left the city 2 weeks before that picture was taken. That was impossible. Elena's heartbeat quickened. She continued reading the old text messages Daniel had received years ago. Suddenly, another detail stood out. The messages didn't sound like Vivian. Vivian always called Daniel by a special nickname, a name only the two of them shared, but the messages never used it. Someone had copied Vivian's writing style, but they didn't know the little things only someone close to them would know. Elena slowly put the papers down. Her breathing became heavier. The fake evidence had not been created by a stranger. It had been created by someone close enough to know both Daniel and Vivian, someone they trusted. As Elena searched for answers, Michael made his next move. He invited her to coffee. He spoke kindly. He never accused Daniel directly. Instead, he planted small seeds of doubt. Daniel has always been afraid of losing control. Good people sometimes make selfish decisions. I just think you deserve the truth. As Elena listened, something felt wrong. Michael wasn't helping her. He was carefully guiding her toward one conclusion: to blame Daniel. That evening, Elena met Vivian again. This time, Vivian finally revealed why she had returned after 8 years. She opened an old notebook. Inside were dates, payments, names, and records linking someone to years of manipulation. 3 months earlier, an anonymous package had arrived at her home. Inside was evidence proving that someone had forged the messages, altered photographs, and destroyed her relationship with Daniel. But the documents revealed something even more frightening. The same person who had separated Daniel and Vivian years ago was now trying to destroy Daniel's marriage to Elena. Elena and Vivian immediately took everything to Daniel. As he examined the evidence, his hands began to shake. For the first time in 8 years, he realized Vivian had never betrayed him. They had both been victims. Daniel looked up slowly. Only one person had access to everything. Only one person knew every detail of their lives. Michael. Daniel invited Michael to his office. Michael walked in confidently. He believed he was still in control. Daniel calmly placed the evidence on the table. The fake messages, the altered photographs, the financial records. Michael glanced at them. His confidence disappeared. He tried to deny everything. Then the office door opened. Vivian walked in. Michael froze. Daniel looked him in the eyes. Why? For a long moment, Michael remained silent. Then he laughed. A bitter, broken laugh. Because everything you had should have been mine. He confessed everything. He had loved Vivian, but Vivian chose Daniel. His jealousy slowly turned into obsession. He forged messages, altered photographs, destroyed their relationship. Then, years later, he manipulated Elena, hoping Daniel would lose his marriage too. Once Daniel's personal life collapsed, Michael planned to take control of the company they had built together. Months later, Michael was arrested. The truth became public. Daniel's company survived. Many expected Vivian to fight for Daniel. She never did. Instead, she chose peace. One evening, Elena met Vivian for the last time. I thought you came back to take my husband. Vivian smiled gently. I came back because I lost 8 years of my life believing a lie. She paused. Sometimes people return from the past not to destroy your future, but to help you uncover the truth. Later that night, Daniel and Elena stood together on their balcony overlooking the city. Their marriage was no longer perfect, but it was honest. Daniel held Elena's hand. I almost lost you because I was afraid to tell you about my past. Elena smiled through her tears. And I almost lost us because I believed appearances before searching for the truth. The city light shimmered beneath them. Some betrayals destroy lives, but sometimes the greatest betrayal is not committed by the people we love. It is committed by the person we trusted the most. Sometimes betrayal does not come from the person you fear. Sometimes the person who destroys your peace is the one standing beside you, smiling and calling themselves a friend. But truth has a way of finding its path, because lies can hide for years, but they cannot hide forever. Moral lesson. Trust is not built by having a perfect past. It is built by having the courage to tell the truth, even when the truth is painful. And before you judge someone based on what you see, remember every story has a hidden chapter. If this story touched your heart and kept you wondering until the very end, we would love to have you as part of our story family. Please take a moment to subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories filled with love, life lessons, suspense, and unexpected twists. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family. Someone you know may need to hear this story today. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to bringing you another unforgettable story soon.